which brings us on to the last topic on our goalkeeper Vicario. It was obviously highly publicised about the move in the summer, how we were going for David Raya. David Raya was a bit too expensive for us, the 40 million. We did settle for Vicario, and if you were led to believe certain rumours, apparently Vicario was the guy that we were going for all along, which I don't buy. But in this game, in isolation, you saw the good, the bad, and the ugly with Vicario. You saw some brilliant saves in there, one really clawing the ball out of the back of the net, but then you saw him, get the ball stuck under his feet and nearly give away a goal. And then you saw that absolutely mental moment where he's handballing it outside the area, then he takes another swipe at it and handballs it out the area. So I don't know what to make out of Vicario. I mean, I love him as a personality. I love him as a character. But there are some key flaws in his game in terms of his strength within that 6-yard box. Can he come for those crosses on a consistent basis? And I know we've seen improvements maybe a little bit from last season. But where are you at with it with Jacob? Are you a big fan of Vicario? Do you think for the long term he can be our Alisson, our David Raya, our Edison? Is he good enough?
I believe he has really great qualities, and he also has really bad setbacks in certain areas. Now, I think he's 26, 27 years old, right? If I'm not mistaken. And you're that old and you have a reluctancy to catch the ball even when you're shielded by 2 players. To me, that's almost one of them things. He's just going to be like that. The mistakes at the feet as well. That is something you can coach and you can get better. But again, like with Hugo Lloris, David De Gea, fantastic shot stoppers. Every camera shot that they have of their stops looks world class. But then you put the ball at their feet, that team presses a little high up with the second and third tier of the press. Look, they're going to start making mistakes. Now, I think it's just a matter of he's got to be smarter. I think he shows that he's a little worried, and he wears his emotions on his face and on his body. Like when he has a save after we do a poor giveaway, he's very animated. And people, either like that or they don't like that. And quite frankly, I am concerned with the lack of ability to command a box. Again, you watch City versus Arsenal. Every cross in the box, David Raya was catching. Every corner that was even 3 yards past the 6-yard box, he was still going out there and claiming. There's a reason he's a very highly touted goalkeeper, David Raya. But you mentioned, if you didn't believe it or not, that Vicario was our first choice. I would also say this: the same people who said that Vicario was not our same choice, those ITKs, also told me we desire a Brecci Eze. And where is he? He's still playing for Crystal Palace. So, these ITKs, I think the last 2 summers been taking a lot of punches lately. And I'm just going to take it even more with a grain of salt. More grains of salt for every story because, until they're holding the shirt, this is what all the old heads told me. Jacob, don't get hyped until they're holding the shirt and it says that they signed for Tottenham. And, I'm learning that. But I don't pay too much into the ITKs. What I do know is I agree with Johnny. Backup goalkeeper, I cannot see Fraser Forster. If we would have gone out in the cup, God forbid, to penalties, it's Ainge's fault because it's Fraser Forster. And he chose Fraser Forster to be over Brandon Austin. And again, Brandon Austin, Alfie Whiteman, whether they can do what Forster can do or not is not the point to me, because the club has kept those players around for a reason, either to fill a quota or because they see something in them. And then I think at that point, if I was Ainge, I would think the smart thing to do is say, well, this is your guy. You've kept him around for so long. I'm going to give him a shot, and see what he could do. But, I'm concerned long-term. For right now, I think he's good enough for what we're trying to do. I think he just has to be smarter with the ball at his feet. As a goalkeeper, I never liked the ball at my feet personally. I always said, you pass it to me, I don't know where it's going after that. And that's kind of the old school keeper. We weren't the extra passing option. We were just the guy who's generally a little bit bigger than the other guys. And to me, Vicario kind of plays like he's scared, and I'm worried about that. I think he's a fantastic shot stopper, though, and he put that on display. He made mistakes, and he took care of business when it mattered most. And to me, all's well that ends well. But with his feet, he could have assisted a goal or two versus Brentford. So he's got to be better. He's definitely worrying, but it's not throw the baby out yet. Just the bath water for now.
Well, he has been added into the leadership group, so I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. But in terms of him playing out from the back, I actually thought we saw some good signs from Vicario, apart from that moment, playing out the back, where he was dinking the ball into Bentancur, dinking the ball out to Pedro Porro, with quite some risky passes as well, and he was getting them spot on. So I think you've got to give him credit for that.
That's the key, though, is that medium short play pass. It's that direct 5-6 yards, 8-10 yards. That's where I think he has more time than he thinks he has, and that's why he made that mistake. Now, I could be conflating that issue with what I saw Fraser Forrester do 4 times versus Coventry. Maybe that's a little bit what's happening here, but again, I think that as a goalkeeper, if you can pass, you have to do those dinks over the top, that medium to long range passing. Even his long range isn't really that bad. If you think about it, it's the short passing inside his own box that he looks very nervous, and I think we all are too.
You remember against Bayern in pre-season, he gave 2 goals away, didn't he? Doing this, something very similar, in both games. And then he very nearly did it on the weekend. So I think you might have a good point there. I think when he's got time and space to clip a pass, he's actually okay. But I think when you're comparing him to some of the best keepers in the league on the ball, Alisson, Edison, Raya, Onana, I think he's kind of a level below them on the ball. I don't think he looks like, I think they look like outfield players when they're on the ball. He still kind of looks like a goalkeeper on the ball, if you know what I mean. Even though obviously he is one. But
I do know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. He still doesn't look totally comfortable like the other players who they look like they're just outfield players clipping a pass over. So I think he's got a bit of work on to do. And then obviously from set pieces, I think he has improved, but he still flaps it way too many. There was one moment as well on the weekend where the ball comes in and he could have easily, I think it was from a long throw, and he could have easily caught it, and he decided to just punch it out for a corner instead. And that, like,
there was 2 players
moments,
shielding him in that moment too.
Yeah. And he still decides to punch it. He still didn't feel confident enough to catch it. That's something
alarming.
Bit of a concern.
Build your upper body strength, right? Command your area. Peter Schmeichel pile through players, right? Be brave. Build your upper body strength. Build up your arm strength. And when the ball comes, win the ball. Just pile through players. Pile through players. Punch through players. Punch players' heads. Right? If you go down, the referee is going to blow the whistle when you're coming through players and you're beating. When you're standing there and going, look at me, look, they're fouling me. I'm not interested. Look, Arsenal yesterday, I felt they fouled Raya twice. Edison twice, because what they did, they ran into him. They didn't stand there and block him. They did a different tactics where 2 players simultaneously ran into Edison to block him off, right? They did it the first time when Gabriel went just slightly wide, and they did it again for the goal. I personally don't like that. But for me, we signed him because we needed a goalkeeper that could play with his feet. We all know how great Hugo Lloris was with his feet. Ball came back, your hands went over your eyes thinking, oh my God, right? So we signed him because he was good with his feet. Unfortunately, I've mentioned the word peripheral vision again. I will say the same with Vicario. It's not great. Whereas Bergvall has great peripheral vision, I don't think Vicario's is great. These close encounters when the ball's there, he doesn't seem to be so aware of players approaching, and then he gets himself into these situations. And the same goes, having your peripheral vision when, there's a set piece or a free kick, it's coming out, being aware of players around you. There was a game, I'm just trying to think what away game it was last season, where we were on a corner and he was screaming, he was grabbing hold of Porro, and he was physically grabbed hold of him from behind, and he put 3 players into position where he thought they should be. Now, Hank, come on, guys. You should know where you should be. He should be focusing, in my opinion, on the ball, not focusing on his defenders, telling them where they should be standing. They should know that automatically. As a shot stopper, absolutely superb. A guy with his feet, he needs to improve. But the one thing is, with the way we play with a high line and the way a lot of teams play with a high line, more and more goalkeepers are getting injured. Could you imagine a scenario where we are actually playing the tree in goal? Okay, I don't want to be in a situation where he's still falling over, right, when they're in the halfway line celebrating the goal. Okay, because that's how bad he is. You saw against Coventry, his first pass out, he passed to a Coventry player. They nearly scored in the first minute. He dropped the ball 3 times.
Johnny, I'd rather see Luca Gunter in goal than bloody Fraser Forster.
Listen, you were with me. You were with us when we saw the Spurs Arsenal game at Boreham Wood. And if it wasn't for Lucas Gunter, it could have been about 5-0 in the first half. He was unbelievable. Yeah. Save after save after save. I don't know whether it's his age, but, surely the other backup keepers are better than Foster. I mean, I was at
we don't have a lack of them, do we?
Pardon?
We don't have a lack of them. We've got 4 in the Europa League squad alone.
We collect goalkeepers. Whereas Arsenal, look, I remember when Arsenal had Leno in goal and Malpai came in and took him out. And I'm thinking, great, that's Arsenal's season's done. And in comes this guy, I've never seen him play, Martinez. Better than Leno, right? Then, when he got Martinez's problem, they bring in Ramsdale, right? I'm thinking, my God, how many keepers are they going to have? He's gone and wins the World Cup. They've got Ramsdale. No, Ramsdale had a great season. No, not good enough. We buy Raya, and then they buy Turner. You look at Liverpool. Look at Liverpool.
They got Neto now as well, who was a brilliant keeper last year for Bournemouth.
Who's a brilliant keeper. And I look at Liverpool. I wanted us to sign when we were looking for a keeper. I said, why don't we buy the Liverpool backup keeper? I thought he was fantastic. He's come in for Alisson. He's been superb. He's always there when called upon. And then I look at us, right? It's always like, don't think about it because we're not going to be in a situation where the keeper gets injured. If he gets injured, God help us. That's all
we
I
are screwed.
Say. We must buy one.
Me and Sim were in the H Club, as you know, Johnny, on the weekend.
Really?
And,
I never knew, Brian. I never knew the Instagram furore. Yeah.
And
you leavey mouthpiece is you.
we bumped into Pat Jennings and we asked him about Vicario, and he said, great shot stopper, but he needs to cut out all the other crap in his game, and that's literally bang on the money, isn't it?
I've got to tell you one story. When I was a kid, I saw Pat Jennings. I can't remember. I was really, really young, and I couldn't quite understand it. I think it's a Wolves player. I think it's Kenny Hibbett or something. He hit a ball, and Pat Jennings, no exaggeration, he put one hand out and caught the ball with one hand. I've never seen anything like it.
Johnny, I was actually, I took a look at his hands, and bloody hell, they were massive.
Huge. Absolutely huge. There used to be a restaurant called the Sweet Cherry in Foster's, and I used to go in there, and I used to beg to go and get a takeaway so I could see Pat Jennings. He always had a moment for us. And look, there's a player who started with Spurs, went to Arsenal, came back to the club, and was still a legend, right? And he's still a legend today. He's the greatest goalkeeper to ever play for this club, and he's a lovely guy, and he knows his stuff.
He still seems upset, actually. Well. Brad Friedel, yeah, absolutely. But Pat Jennings actually still feels well. When we were talking to him about it, he's still upset that Spurs wanted him out at that moment in time.
Yeah, yeah, he should never have gone.
Bringing the conversation back to Vicario, there, I was thinking obviously we point out his flaws, from set pieces and sometimes playing on the back and stuff. But when we're talking about a shot stopper, like someone who's obviously made some brilliant saves on the weekend, but I'm just trying to think how many times has he, the goals we've conceded, and we've conceded a lot of them in the past year. I can't remember too many where I can really point to him from a shot-stopping point of view, thinking he could have done
not
better.
A shot-stopping point of view.
He fumbled one or anything. He's very good handling as well.
Very good.
Even Raya, he had a couple of howlers.
No, I think from that aspect, Vicario is actually one of the best in the league.
Yeah, I think you look even the top keeper. How many howlers did Onana have last season? Not just playing like that, handling shots at him where he's just let it through him or fumbled it. Even Pope on the weekend, had a bad one. I never see Vicario do that.
No, Vicario in that aspect is one of the best in the league. But as we've seen, players just put pressure on him from set pieces, and that's a big problem.
Yeah, but look at the context of yesterday. They're putting pressure on Edison, one of the best keepers in the league, and it worked. In that context, it's not easy when you.
Yeah, it's very true.
One of the best teams doing that.
No
And part
one's
of that
equal,
pressure
but
being applied is up to the coaching staff. And now I don't want to sound like a broken record, but Ryan Mason is the mole. Okay, and everywhere I go, I'll tell it. Ryan Mason is the mole. How does this man survive 17 different, cruise liners going to the bottom of the ocean, and every time he's still just a part of the next boat that goes out? It doesn't make sense
he's our
to me.
next manager.
And when you
Have
look
some
at where
respect,
he's,
Jacob.
yeah, I know, and everyone wanted to Ainge out. They're going to get Ryan Mason, and now who's really suffering? Everybody. But
I
it's
blame
no
Michael
shock to
Oliver.
me that we are inept in the area in which he is in charge of. It just makes sense. Which again, to me, that does fall on Ainge a
Well,
little
apparently
bit.
it's Montgomery now, isn't it? It's Montgomery who's
Montgomery and the other guy. I keep forgetting his name with a foreign name.
Jednak.
No. The guys they came from Hearts that got the sack.
What I heard is actually, I heard something to the contrary to that, and I heard that Ryan Mason was literally never on set piece duty on the training ground, and I felt like he was getting beaten with a stick out from a rumor.
I think he's on water bottles.
No, I just think that a lot of the Vicario, defensively set piece, that comes down to coaching and the players out there. And also it comes down to Vicario as well. Like, he's got to be the one. Now, Johnny's right. He should not be here moving them like human chess pieces. That is a little absurd. They should, one, be just moving to where they should know one of the two areas that they need to occupy when the ball's not in play versus when it is in play. It's not a hard thing to do. I think it's just lapse in judgment from players. And then Vicario looks, like any goalkeeper, you getting contacted on a set piece, it's going to mess with you positionally, aerially, everything. So again, everyone just got to be stronger around.
Can I just ask you a question, guys? Like, have you actually tried to do it in the garden? Pretend you're the goal, you're defending the goal, stand facing this way where the ball's coming, and get all your friends to stand behind you and all run past you at the same time. See how you get on. Because I think it's genius. Arsenal treat corners, I'm a big NFL fan, like special teams. That's how they treat it. They've taken it to another level. I hate them. I hate them with a passion, especially after yesterday again. But I have to take my hat off to them with their special teams when it comes to corners and set pieces. I'd like us to see us adopt it because it's hard to, it's hard to defend against. We've seen City, we've seen team after team struggle against it. I think some need to face the way of the ball and others need to face the players that are running towards them to try and combat it. But it's
also defensively as well, because we all talk complaining about Vicario and Edison and all that play about Edison, but Edison failing to come for crosses. But how many times do you see Raya come and claiming a cross like it's easy? He claims them all the time. That must be, I haven't analysed it. I'm assuming he must be well protected from his centre backs who are just making sure that he's getting that space to come and get the ball. Because you look at the moment, Vicario and Edison, they're not able to come and claim it against Arsenal.
You look at Raya compared to Vicario in that aspect. Raya, just like his physique, just looks so strong. It looks like no one can muscle him out of the way. And Vicario, just like his frame, just looks a lot smaller, and he just looks a lot easier to bully.
Vicario's taller than him.
Taller, fine, but I'm talking about like Raya's a lot more stocky.
I know, I'm saying, and he's taller.
Yeah.
And he should, you should have more reach.
Yeah.
But still, Ray is the one who's coming for a lot of these crosses, and Vicario struggles sometimes.
Yeah. But look, I think that does bring an end to the panel show today. I want to thank both of you guys for coming on today. We've got a super chat actually for both of you from Chang Ching Seung, and he says, support Jacob at United Spurs of America and support Johnny at Tottenham on tour as well. So big up to you.